Right, hello, and welcome to another episode of Tamara Unfiltered. Sorry, I stumbled there a little bit. I was just about to say, it's been a long time coming. Guys, I am so sorry. I have had to take a little bit of a break, and I guess probably none of you really care, but I care because the one thing I wanted to be when I started this podcast was consistent, and I just feel like it's clearly lacked consistency lately. Anyway, I am trying to get back on it. I think I said last time, I am just figuring out how to navigate this next stage of my life, I guess, where it's like an old stage of my life where I'm just back to being super busy. Has anybody watched Dubai Bling? And there's a woman in there called Mona Katan, and she literally schedules her day per every 10 minutes. That's what my life's like at the moment. There is not a spare 10 minutes to do anything. It's just crazy. Anyway, I actually have some really exciting news, and I'm going to be sharing that at the end of the podcast, so please stick around for that because this is really exciting. I've literally just had the brainwave of all brainwaves, and well, I'm bursting a little bit of excitement. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a little catch up and just say sorry for my absence. I made myself ill again, didn't I? Literally only have myself to blame, but the last month has just been, I don't know, it's been a little bit horrendous. I think the last time we spoke, I was on the verge of burnout. I had just finished building the new website, and I don't know, there's just been so much going on. I'd also mentioned we'd had a big madness within the family, which I can't talk about, but I think it was the precursor to this thing. Now, if you remember when I first started the podcast, I had been in hospital with what turned out to be hemorrhoids, but I was just having a lot of back passage issues, and I don't know, I haven't really been unwell since then, and it hasn't been a thing, but it has flared up maybe twice, and each time has been relative to stress. So I kind of think it's a stress thing, and this latest flare up was so bad, but then the stress that came before it was so bad. I just think it's all relative to that, and I don't know, some crazy stuff happened. Anyway, I literally I had started bleeding again from the wrong hole, and excuse me, it's going to be a bit TMI, but I had been really unwell, and it had been happening about, well, every time I went to the toilet, so like 2-3 times a day, and it was a hell of a lot. It was so much that it sounded like wee was coming out. It was like psst. Anyway, I got to day 12, and I mean, God bless ChatGPT. He's very helpful with a lot of things, but he literally just got to the point where he's like, I'm not helping you anymore, you need to go to the hospital. So I ended up going to the doctors, and then I got to the doctors and they were like, you need to go to the hospital. And I don't know, I really didn't want to go to the hospital, but I ended up in A&E. It was 7 hours, but it was just crazy how everything went, because as much as I think this was a precursor to stress, I do wonder if this was I'm not saying ignore your health and everything's all spiritual and woo-woo, but I do think maybe it was to do with some other stuff, because I was sat in the hospital and I realised it was 22 years to the day. It was literally my little brother's anniversary of when he had died, and he died in the hospital because of that fucking hospital. And I was just, I don't know, I was really there against my will, and I was just in a state. I was just sat in the God, it's funny now doing this. I think some people do recognise me, but if you saw me sat in that hospital waiting room crying, well, just know I had a hell of a lot going on that day. But I think not that I never processed that. I mean, I've done the work with that, but I just think the fact that that happened literally on his anniversary, that I ended up back in the same hospital, was just, I don't know, it was wild. It was almost like I had some shit to process. Anyway, I was obviously in that hospital for 7 hours, only for them to not be able to help me. They took my blood and they said I had a very low blood count, and I was like, well, no shit, Sherlock. The doctor had come to the conclusion that I'd been losing like a cup of blood a day. So I don't know, it was like, or 2 cups of blood a day. At that point, I felt like I was like 20 cups of blood down at the very least. So when they were saying your blood count's low, I'm like, well, of course it is. But then they just said, well, if this carries on for another 3 days, come back. And I was thinking, well, I'm day 12. If this carries on for another 3 days, I'm probably going to fucking die. And they had said that because of how much blood it wasn't going to be the hemorrhoids. So to be honest with you, I still don't know what it was, but I had to come home, and I don't know, while I was there, I'm the sort of person, I like to practice this thing I called radical responsibility, right? Which is where you take responsibility for your fucking life. It is not up to anybody else to sort your shit out. So I was kind of sat in that hospital, kind of mad at myself, like, what are you even doing here? Like, this is a you problem. The NHS do not have the capacity, the time, the care, they just don't have it, right? And it's silly of me to go there and think they could help me. If anything, I knew they couldn't help me, but I just wanted a diagnosis, but they couldn't even do that. So I ended up back at home, and I just thought, just thinking about everything, like that has kind of come at a time where I'd had all that stress going on with the business. I'm trying to juggle so much. I think I was really close to burnout, and I think on top of that, my diet had got really bad. Like when I say I'd get to like dinner time and realise I hadn't even had breakfast or lunch, and then I'm like, well, fuck dinner, and I'll just eat a pack of 312s and a packet of Quavers, right? Just literally living the most ridiculous shit. The type of shit, if I saw someone else doing, or I did to my kids, I would say it was child abuse or like abuse to yourself. But I'm there just doing this because I'm like, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Everything was kind of more important than me looking after myself. But then they say nothing, like everything matters until like you've got a health problem, and then nothing matters but your health, right? So I don't know, I just had to really look at myself, and I thought, you're not eating. That is obviously a major problem. So back when this first happened last year, my mum bought me some stuff called wheatgerm, wheat bran. It's basically like smashed up Weetabix. And I never ate it. And then when I came home from hospital this latest time, I was just like, you've got to sort your life out. I'm like, why don't you just start fucking eating that? Because it's so easy to make, and I don't ever have breakfast. So I have literally started having every day just a bowl of porridge. Just keeping it simple. I like to make things so complicated. I'm like, you've got to get 40 grams of protein, and you've got to do this, and and it's just, you cause your own problems sometimes, and I just had to simplify it. So I'm literally just eating this bowl of porridge with a tablespoon of this wheat bran in and a bit of hemp powder. And when I tell you, within 3 days of eating this, the whole thing stopped. Touch wood, it has cleared up, and it is not coming back. Now, we are only a couple of weeks past that, but I just think most things boil down to quite simple things, and it's like diet and exercise and getting out in nature and stuff. And again, this just boils down to diet, I reckon. And again, I think I have to take a look at everything else. I'm so stressed. I'm so like it's funny, isn't it, starting this wellness company? It's made me really unwell, but I don't know. I think I've always thought, like, if you want great things, you're going to have to do fucking great monumentous things to get them, especially if you're coming from the place I'm coming from, which is basically the gutter. So if I don't put the work in, no one else is going to. So I do put a lot of pressure on myself, and I'm just trying to put a little less pressure, not too much less pressure, because nothing will get fucking done, right? And I'm not living a poor, sad life. I'm just fucking not. I'm not going to do that to my kids, but I do think I need to learn to find a bit of balance. So yeah, I'm eating porridge, and do you know what's funny? Throughout all of this, I'm like so sad because I'm not really performing the way I should. I'm not making the content. I'm not promoting the NMN in the way I should be. And for goodness sakes, is the media texting me? Sorry. I just lost my whole train of thought. What the hell was I even saying? Oh, I was just about to say, I was so annoyed that, I hadn't been promoting the NMN, which is so ironic because at the time I think the NMN was what was keeping me alive. Because I was losing so much blood. I was getting weaker and weaker and weaker. I was getting to the point where I was getting up and I was feeling, you just get up and you're just fucked already. And so I was taking the NMN and getting like a little boost off of that, doing the first half of the day and then just going back to bed and crashing. And I just thought, God, that NMN's probably saving your life and saving your kids' life. Because if I wasn't getting up in the morning and just getting that little bit of shit done, would have all really gone to shit. And I don't know, it's just ironic that I've just got this great product that's saving my life and I haven't even got the space and the time to tell everybody about it. And it's just, it's funny, isn't it? And do you know what? Anyway, let's not get into that. But so yeah, the NMN is doing good things. And do you know what as well? Because they had said, oh, your blood count's low, and I'm feeling so weak and terrible. I'm like, well, obviously you're lacking iron. I said to them, I was like, how do you get your blood back? And they were like, you can't do that. You'd have to have a blood transfusion. I said, well, I'm not fucking having one of them. And it wasn't that deep anyway, but I just thought I need to build my iron back up. So I've got these tablets that I've been taking. Now it says you can take like from 1 to 6 of them a day, and I've just been taking 2 a day for a while, and I think they really help with like my hormones and stuff. But because of what they are, they're basically a load of cow insides, right? And it sounds disgusting, but there's a hell of a lot of iron in it. And I just thought, right, I'm going to kind of double my dose of that. And so I did for like a week. I was taking 4 of those tablets a day. Oh my God. First of all, I started feeling a lot better, a lot more quickly. But second of all, My period this month, which I've just come off of, was, I'm gonna say, one of the best periods I've ever had in my life. It was crazy, because it wasn't crazy. Well, if you're following along on Instagram, you will know 2 days before my period, I got into a fight with my neighbour over a fucking flag. But apart from that, I didn't have that crazy run up. I mean, to be fair, since I've been taking the NMN, that whole craziness I used to get from my period has really eased off. But I didn't even notice this one coming in, put it that way. And then the period itself was so nice, so nice. I just had a very dull, like, lower backache, kind of the backache when you feel like you need to like stretch and crack your back. I just had that. And the blood, sorry if it's TMI, it was just, I don't know. I normally have quite fresh, healthy blood, but it just seemed a bit fresher and healthier. And it literally just, my cycle's 2 days, and this was bang on 2 days. And it was not as heavy and as gushing as it normally is. And I don't know, but there's something about these tablets that, and it's funny, everything happens for a reason, because I would never have been taking 4 of them. Like, why would I even have thought to do, I would have thought that was excessive, but no, it turns out that's exactly what I needed. So do you know what I'm going to start doing now, is start taking 4 of them the week before my period. And do you know what I noticed, which I've now noticed has decreased? I noticed my eye bags got a bit less. I think it's because of the amount of collagen in this product, like, but and now since I'm back to taking 2, I feel like my eye bags are getting more again. So I don't know, maybe I'll just trial it, 4 of them. But God, it is the money on these just supplement after supplement. Anyway, what was I saying? Let me not get lost in my sauce. Anyway, so I've managed to get my iron back up with these tablets, and they're just, I don't know, it's completely just saved me, because like I said, I wasn't having a flipping blood transfusion or anything like that. Anyway, I just want to mention that I am still selling more Viva NMN than I am my own NMN. But here's the thing, because you know I'll always try and put a positive spin on everything. Or not even that, I just like to try and look at the positives. There's no point me sat here sad because I'm still selling their NMN, which is because this is how this all started. And I just thought, do you know what? Because of how I've been, because of like the pressure and all the stress and everything, I obviously haven't been selling much of my NMN because I haven't had the flipping energy or will. But the fact that I'm still selling Viva means I'm still getting paid. And who's going to be mad at that? Nobody. So I don't know, I'm not mad at it. I really hope that all the customers that I have sent to Viva eventually come over to me. But like I said, I'm just looking at it like, well, actually, if I wasn't, but that month in particular as well was such a bad month, but having that big chunk of payment from Viva at the end actually really saved me, because I had the 2 kids' birthdays, and I don't know, I just thought I'm not mad at it. I mean, you guys should definitely switch over, because I definitely have a better NMN, but that's up to you. I'm still getting paid either way. Like I said, I'm not mad about it. Anyway, this has actually brought me really nicely onto my exciting news. I had the brainwave of all flipping brainwaves this morning, and I started talking with chat, because this all started because I was trying to come up with like a content plan, and in it he was saying how I should talk about the studies and how like our clinical, the NMN I have is like the only NMN that's actually got studies that have been done on humans, because it's one thing to test it on like a rat or a mouse, but like we're not rat or mice, right? So he was talking about, and then I just started thinking, like, how do you do a clinical trial? Like, how do you even do that? And turns out it's not that flipping hard. Have you ever watched like an advert? You know, when you see an advert for a skin cream and they're like, 95% of our customers reported a greater lack of wrinkles or whatever. And then you look at the small print at the bottom and it's like, tested on 9 people. I said to Jack, I was like, well, how do you do these clinical trials? Like, what do you said anyone can do a trial. He said, you could do a community trial. I was like, no, I want this to be like proper things. And he was like, well, all you really need is to get a doctor or a pharmacist on board to like basically oversee it, and then it can be seen as a clinical trial. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run my own human clinical trials on NMN. And this is where I need you guys. I now basically have got to find 20 people. We want 20 people. I say we, this is me and ChatGPT. We want 20 people who haven't taken NMN before, ideally. Because I mean, obviously I've got to fund this trial, and when I say fund it, you're not getting paid. You're going to be doing this because you want some free NMN and you love me. Okay, but I've still obviously got to pay for the NMN. So point is, we want the people who aren't taking their NMN, but maybe you're, I don't know, just feeling a bit low on energy, dealing with perimenopause symptoms, or you just want to give yourselves like a little bit of a boost and a repair, and you've been interested in this because you've clearly heard me banging on about it so much for the last few months. I don't know how yet. I'm going to say currently just DM me, but I need to find 20 people to do this clinical trial, and then we will have our own data. We will be able to say, yes, 95% of people improved their whatever out of 20 people. But, you know, everybody else conducts their clinical trials like this. He did say if I was a bigger company, you might want to have hundreds and thousands of people, but I'm just like, I couldn't afford to give that much NMN away at the moment, but we can do 20 people and still call it a clinical trial. And you know what? I think that is enough people to like just get a general idea, and so much better that it's on humans and not animals, right? So anyway, if you are somebody who thinks you want to get involved in this, can you DM me? Because this is obviously very early stages. I've got to get some consent forms and stuff together, and I've actually got some other stuff I need to do before I should have even spoken about this, but by the time this podcast comes out, this will all be sorted. But I just, yeah, if you're interested, please DM me, because this could potentially be super flippin' exciting. And this, I don't know, this, like I said, when I set this up, I don't just want to be another supplement company. I want to be the best. I just want to be the best, and I want to prove that we're the best, right? And how am I going to do that? Through my own clinical trials. I find, honestly, I'm going to look back on this one day, or people will look back and be like, wow, she did some really cool shit. Doesn't feel cool now. I feel like I want to just go and like hide somewhere under a rock for 20 years, but no, I cannot do that. So this is, I don't know, there's going to be something we're going to look back on and be like, wow, this is fucking cool. And if you want to be a part of that, please get in contact. Anyway, because I don't even know, I tell you why actually, because I've been taking these tablets, which are basically a bunch of cow insides that I once went on record to say would make you sad if you ate, has actually made me feel a lot better. I feel like I need to talk about I don't need to talk about anything, but you know what I mean. I want to address the whole not being vegan thing anymore. It's funny, I still get messages from you guys saying, oh, are you still vegan? And obviously it was quite a big thing at the time for me, and I made quite a big thing of it, but I don't know, I'm not the sort of person who can't backtrack or go back and say I was wrong. And I think, yeah, I was very wrong with that, and I would like to explain why I think I was wrong. So point is, next week we're going to be talking about how I was 8 years a vegan, and why I went back to eating meat, and now why I take things like cow fallopian tubes. Anyway, I'm going to be back next week with that. Please, if you want to get involved in this clinical trial, let me know. If you just don't want to wait that long and you want to get some NMN now, we have got a code which is free ship, all one word, free ship, and that will get you free shipping. That will even get you free shipping on subscriptions. And as I've mentioned before, as much as it's a little bit cheeky to just set up a subscription to get the discount, I do it myself, and I fully understand if you want to do it yourself. So you can set up a subscription, get 20% off, and get free delivery if you use code FREESHIP. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Please DM me if you want to get involved in this trial. I'm a lot excited, and I really need you guys to get on board with this, because, well, you're going to be the ones who make it happen. Anyway, I love you all so much. Thank you so much for listening. I know this was a little bit short, but I just wanted to give a little catch up and a little explanation as to what the hell I have been doing. But moving forward, I'm going to be trying to get back a bit more on track, and just, I don't know, and also bring you some more interesting podcasts, not just me waffling about my silly little life. I can imagine that can be quite boring, or get boring. Anyway, we don't want you bored. I love you all so much. Just thank you for listening, and I will see you in a couple of weeks with my next show. Thank you for listening. Mwah.